Alright, what is up guys? Good morning. It is actually the evening right now and we are at Huntington Beach, the first place I ever surfed in my life. And today I'm going to explain to you guys a little background on how I got into surfing, where I surfed for my first time, and yeah, where I've been with surfing and how long and everything. I know a lot of you guys came to my channel for snowboarding, and to see me traverse into surfing is strange, so I figured very good idea to break down, you know, my background on it. And this is where it all started, actually right here. Behind me it's the US Open right now, but normally there is a sick beach, and that's the first place I ever surfed. Back in 2012, my brother had a place on 2nd Street, which is right across from me right now, and me and my homie Brian Wentworth were living at Mount Hood, and the summer was over. It was September 2nd. We did our last day of snowboarding, and we drove 18 hours through the night, made it down to Huntington Beach, and I rode my skateboard for the first time actually that night and ollied a 10 stair in like 2 years. And yeah, that was the first time I'd ever been to SoCal. It changed my life forever. My brother actually wasn't even there, but gave us the key to his apartment, and we opened up the door to this little tiki shack on 2nd Street in Huntington. Such a beautiful location. He had a pooch running around. It was so just, the vibes were sandy and beachy and cool, and yeah, it was a mind-blowing, shocking experience that definitely changed my whole output on life and what California has to offer. And from there, the next day we were in the water. I always wanted to surf, and my brother had been getting some friendly one-on-one lessons from a neighbor who lived in the same apartment complex as us, called Dirk. The dude was a, I want to say, old professional surfer, kind of just burnt out, and he just still was in love with the dream and surfing, and he had a super good mindset back then. And he is the original one who I paddled out with my brother, and taught me where to strap my leash and everything about surfing and what I need to know, the lineup, regular things that you need to know when you're paddling out, about just, you know, common sense things that you don't want to hurt other people or get in other people's way when you are a beginner. So first time I ever surfed was in 2012, I believe was the summer, so that's 6-7 summers now ago. And since then my surfing always gets broken up into portions, so I can't really say I've been surfing for 7 years, because I stayed down here for a month that first time, and I honestly got annihilated for 2 weeks straight. The first board I ever rode was that long pink log that you guys seen me pick up from the Mexico vlog the other day, and that was my brother's board. And I honestly brought that thing out 6 o'clock every single morning for probably 10-12 days straight, maybe a day off in between, and would paddle on that thing, working and working and working, trying to catch my first wave for days. So don't get unmotivated if you guys are just jumping into surfing and it is so hard and you don't catch a wave your first time. If you don't actually have a foam surfboard and somebody pushing you into the wave, you're probably not going to surf your first time. And I was so dedicated, and I just love the feeling of being in the ocean and being humbled and not being able to do something. And I wanted to do it for so long, and seeing other people do it, and it was so close to skating and snowboarding that I knew I could. I stayed at it, and I got smoked every single day, coming home with blood coming out of my head, coming home with fat lips, like just completely destroying myself, until finally one time, right over there, I was hundreds of feet out in the lineup, super deep, and it was a small day, and I ended up catching a solid wave that reformed, and I rode the whitewash all the way in, and I heard the longboard whistle, and it had this sick noise that I'll never forget. And I probably caught like a 20-second ride, and it was the most juiced I've ever felt in my entire life. And I was down there for another 2 weeks. I probably surfed every day, if not more than that, twice a day, you know, for the next 2 weeks. And then I did not surf again until that next following fall after Hood once again. So surfed for about a month, and then 2013, same thing, surfed for about a month, and then that following summer I spent in Connecticut. So I actually surfed Rhode Island, which is like the first time I did that. Realized that I grew up in Connecticut, going to the beach at Squamicut, and I had never even surfed anywhere or known that there was breaks right around where I was just laying on the beach, just like a absolute just non-informed human being. And yeah, it changed the whole game over there. I started spending my winters at Mount Snow, and that's what led me to just buy a thicker wetsuit and start getting in the water in the winter. And from 2014, I want to say, is when I decided to actually take a winter off of snowboarding. And the 2015 season, I think it was, I went to Mexico for December and met homie Scott, and we went to Peru for all of January into February, and then that led to a European tour with my brother for the rest of that winter, and then I came back and my season actually started in like April. So I got April in, and then I went right to California, moved here because I decided that doing the month on, month off thing isn't gonna work if I'm really trying to progress at something. It's all time on a board, and you need to just consistently stay at your sport. That's how I got really good at snowboarding, because I did it 360 days a year for like 5 years when I started. So I moved to Huntington Beach. All the homies made an epic road trip across the country. I got like 6 to 8 of our hometown legend day one friends to drive in their cars. We were living on the side of the road and whatnot, but there was no content being brought out then because all I wanted to do was get better, and I was going to bed at 8 o'clock like I told you guys last night every single day, and waking up at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock and being the first one to paddle out Northside Huntington Beach Pier every single day until I got to build my quiver up to the point where I wasn't using a longboard and I could break it down to like a 7-foot board and then eventually a 6-foot board. But the funny thing is, the first surfboard I ever bought, I looked up what professional surfers ride, and I bought a tiny little, I want to say Dan Taylor was the model. It was like a 5'6", 20 liters, absolutely no weight, no volume, and I just thought, like everybody always thinks when they're a good snowboarder or skateboarder, that they're just gonna grab a surfboard and get out there and rip. And honestly, if we had a jet ski and we could tow you in, I'm sure you would rip, I would rip, but that's not how it works ever. Maybe a few cases if you're one of the top dogs, but you gotta learn how to just let the ocean completely smoke you, and it's more your shoulders than anything. So if you got a good lower body imbalance, it doesn't matter because you're on your stomach now and you're paddling. So if your upper body's not strong, then all the other board sport abilities that you have aren't going to transfer. You need to learn the way the ocean works, and you need to learn the fact that it doesn't matter. The ocean is going to let you know when you're allowed to do something, and at any point in time that can change. So it's a humbling experience, and that is a lot of my time with it right there. The past couple of years I actually stepped back away from the surfboard because I got decent enough to ride it, and I moved back into snowboarding. But 2 summers ago, my friend David Biner owned K38 Surf House in Mexico, if you guys know that, pretty famous zone. And he's the one who introduced me to Scott, who I went to Peru with, and he had been traveling to Indonesia at that time a lot, and he needed a friend last minute to watch his surf house down there and help him out with renting it. So 2 summers ago, I decided to move to Mexico full time, live at my friend David Biner's house, which is also what helped me with my Spanish. And I was making sure that the house got clean, checking in guests and whatnot, and my only obligation for myself was to wake up and surf twice a day for 4 hours a session every day, all day long. And I did that for 2 months until he came back and he gave me a brand new custom board shaped with my name on it and some money, and told me to get out of the country. And that's when I started filming for a series that I ended up losing with a hard drive that got stolen in Mexico that next year. But I went down to Costa Rica with some money, bought a brand new dirt bike. I had 3 surfboards on me. I got a custom rack built on it, and I traveled for 3 months throughout Costa Rica and Nicaragua, just absolutely living the dream. I can't even express how much fun I had, and yeah, unfortunately all that footage is gone. One day I think it'll come back to me. I have to just continuously say that, but that was the most epic time of my entire life, the craziest trip I've ever made. And from that point on, the next summer, which was last summer, about a year ago, maybe 14 months now, I took a heavy trip to Indonesia, and I trained a lot before I went there, as much as just like cutting out anything that's not healthy for me and trying to be in the most ideal shape as I can, and then just practicing water drills and holding my breath and surfing every single day, trying to just pull into closeout barrels and realize that Indo's gonna be even heavier. And last year I went to Indo, showed up, 20-foot padang, paddled out the next day. My buddy David Biner helped me just completely just have the most confidence and drive, and yeah, I surfed some of the best waves ever over the craziest reefs. I actually broke my first board in my entire life on a wave. Like it was heavy. And I came back from there, and what did I do the rest of it last summer? I ended up doing some surfing just around this area. Huntington is always the home that I come back to. It's like where it all started, and my friends live in Newport now, so we're always surfing the Newport jetties. If anybody is in this area and ever wants to link up, shoot a message, let's holler, let's surf together. It's so much fun. It's definitely a different energy than snowboarding, but it is the connection between it all, land, water, just the vibe that you get, and the humbling ocean powers that just completely thrashes you. You just learn to be comfortable in the most uncomfortable situation, and which is what led to this past winter. I actually did my first ever winter surfing and got like that 6 mil like you guys seen, and was surfing in Connecticut, windstorms, and Rhode Island all over the place, and just having snow on the ground and dumping snow outside and just absolutely loving it. That's how epic surfing is that you will get in the water when it's negative outside and the water's in the 30s where it should be freezing, and you're getting headaches and frostbite, and it's just, it really is the dream. It's not for everybody, and if you know that you're gonna get thrashed for mad long, then you really want to do it, you can stay true to it. You can get the right board, you can work your way up to actually performing on a surfboard, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And I'm going to spend this next month here trying to get as good as I can, trying to really only film without the GoPro when somebody has a long lens on the beach, and you guys are going to see some more progression unfold. I'm going to try to hopefully link some clips during this to old edits that I had from around this time, so you guys can see how terrible I was not too long ago and not be too depressed. If you're working up for it yourself, just get a Wavestorm, preferably the Ben Gravy, not actually Wavestorm, the Wave Bandit, because the boy has a custom pro model surfboard, and Ben Gravy is the legend. So support the homies. We will see you guys out there. I'm actually about to go catch some waves right now. Let's do this.
Should I put my shades on and make it record?
Yeah, Q. You couldn't be cooler.
What's good?
What's goody?
It's waterproof, baby. Came out. I hope this is waterproof.